Today I want to show you some of the inexpensive art supplies that I use. Now a lot of these are actually household items and not technically art supplies, so you may have some of them already in the house. But if not, I have links in the description and I appreciate your support. So the first thing is a plastic drop cloth. Now this one here is kind of a prop. It's 1 mil thick, which is really not what I like to use. I like to use the thicker, either 3, 4, or 5 mil thick plastic sheeting. But I put it down on my painting table and it eliminates the use of a palette. You can put your paint, you can mix your paint right on the plastic and it peels up later if you get a thick enough application where you can peel that dried paint up and reuse it. And having plastic down also frees you up to paint with abandon and not worry about getting paint on your stuff. So the next thing is your basic foam roller. This will apply paint and it's a different look and a different texture than a paintbrush. So I keep these around. This one has a lot of dried paint built up on it, which is gives you a different look than using a brand new clean one. So I use both. Sometimes I rinse it out and then sometimes I let this dry and I just use an old dried one. It makes a really interesting mark on your canvas. Next is your basic paint brushes. I used to think that an expensive brush would make you a better artist, and certainly the brush makers would like you to think that as well. But in recent years, I have gone to just using inexpensive paint brushes. These are kind of hardware store types, and actually these are as well. What I like is the nylon bristle. It's very soft and flexible. And it used to be inexpensive paintbrushes, the bristles would come out, but I have found that not to be the case anymore. So I can use these brushes for, there's some of these I've had them a couple years and they just keep going. You just rinse them out when you're done. And now I also paint loosely, so if you're a detail person, this is probably not for you, but this type of brush helps me paint loose and free. And I'm sure if you're like me, there's been times when you have forgotten to wash out a brush, or maybe you didn't get it washed out very well and the next day there's dried paint. Well, in comes Murphy's oil soap. They actually changed the formula a couple years ago and they call it concentrated wood cleaner now. You can clean floors with it, you can clean leather with it, but if you take this and pour it into a container and put your brush, your brush that has dried hard paint on it overnight, or even for a couple days, it will dissolve the paint off the brush and it'll be almost like new. And there's no nasty solvents in it. These are actually mostly plant-based materials that they use here, plant-derived cleaning ingredients. So it's not nasty, and keep the Murphy's in the cup and reuse it. This one of these will last you a really long time. So the next thing up is tissue paper. Now I love colored tissue paper, but I most often use white. And what I do is I put either gel medium down on a canvas or gesso and I crinkle this up, and then you spread it out and pat it down on your canvas, and when it dries you'll have a nice textured surface to paint on. So speaking of gel medium, this is another critical item in my art supply list. I'm currently using the Crafters Workshop brand, but there's also many other brands that are good. Liquitex and Golden are very well-known brands. I use this kind of as a glue for gluing down collage. You can also mix it in with your acrylic paints to make it your paint a little more translucent. It's totally compatible. I don't recommend Mod Podge. Mod Podge is meant for basic, quick crafts, and it has a higher water content. It doesn't have the longevity that a professional gel medium does. But I use this all the time. So next up is your basic water bottle, squirt bottle. If you like drips in your paintings, if you do abstract or semi-abstract, you can put some brush strokes down and spritz it with water and you'll get some nice drips as long as you have your painting on a easel or on the wall or some slant where the water runs down. Drips are really cool. Next up is an empty squeeze bottle. I fill these with acrylic paint. I mostly use black, but you can use any color. And if you tip this over, you can make really cool lines and draw with paint. The bottles that I have linked to is a 6-pack, and it also comes with a funnel so you can get paint in there easily. Just use some kind of paint that is thin enough to fill and not the heavy bodied acrylic paint. Here is Minwax Polyacrylic Crystal Clear Top Coat. I've been using this since about 2010, so I have many years of experiences using this as a final top coat on my acrylic paintings, and I have not found it to yellow or have any problems whatsoever. There has been some questions about this in the past. I have not had an issue. I usually use semi-gloss. This is actually a gloss I have, but it's a little too shiny and reflective, so I like semi-gloss. Satin is also good, but this is a great top coat, a final coat for your acrylic paintings. And last but not least is the lowly cardboard flap. This is just a flap that I cut off of a cardboard box, and I peeled the top off to reveal these lines, and it makes a great mark making tool. I actually did an entire video about different kinds of cardboard that I use to make marks, but I love this for stamping, mark making on my acrylic paintings. So I hope you like my little short list of inexpensive, mostly household items. And let me know in the comments, is there something that you use that's an everyday item, that's an essential item in your art making? Let me know, and thanks for watching.